I'll probably hand it off real quickly. We don't have Tricia here, do we?
She just is coming in right now.
She's making corn fritters.
I'm making corn fritters.
Oh, Sherry, that's you down there in the corner.
Girl,
Are you there, Tricia?
I'm here, but I have no information.
Okay, all right, good. We'll move right along.
Yes, he loved the caddy.
Unless anybody has anything else, why don't we let Bill introduce our judge? Is there anything else we need to talk about?
Our program is going to be Nick Allen in July.
Oh, good.
And what's the date of that? Well, I guess I can find that one out easy enough.
what's he talking about?
Lighting.
Oh, cool.
I'll have to talk to him and see, or Linda, you could.
Well, good.
I will. I
Okay.
can talk to him.
Well, he did a really good one last time, so I'll look forward
Yeah.
to seeing this.
Yeah, sure
He's
did.
going to expand on it, so hopefully that'll go over well. All right, Bill, you want to introduce our judge and get going?
Okay, our judge tonight is Terry Toomey. Terry's a member of the Alameda Club for many, many years. He's also been in various officer positions in N4C. And Terry, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
I really enjoyed the previews of your work today. And I will tell you ahead of time, I had a hard time choosing the image of the month, but I finally stuck with the one that I remembered the most the next day.
That's a good thought.
That's a good way to do it.
And there were three. And there were three, so it was a hard decision. And I'm looking forward to looking at them all again with you, all you
Great.
who made the lovely images.
Thank you.
Okay. Steve, you want to go ahead and start?
Okay, we're under a slightly different configuration, so we'll see how this goes.
Are you going to mute the people?
Okay, I'll do that. I won't be able to unmute everybody all at once. So then, Terry, you'll have to unmute yourself when you talk.
Okay,
How do I unmute myself? Just like I normally do?
Yeah,
Yeah,
click on
hit the
your
microphone.
icon.
and, okay, I gotta bring up the screen before I can share. Just a moment. Interesting.
Should we
Okay,
try it
now,
so we don't mute?
Okay, I'll mute now.
okay, almost there. Okay, can people see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Pictorial B, 5 images. Oops, I gotta switch controls here. Just a sec.
Flanders poppies, Papaverias, shown in the style of Charles Rennie Mackintosh.
I enjoyed this one. I liked the painterly quality. It would work well probably in creative also, but you entered in it pictorial and it's very pictorial. What I like is how the reds circle around to the through the image. If I was going to change anything, I might darken. Wait a minute, I have to block a cat from joining us. Get down. I would, there's one really white leaf that I would probably tone down a little bit if it was mine. Okay, next.
Buenos Aires,
Go.
Argentina.
It hasn't popped up for me yet.
Oh. That's interesting.
There it is. I like what appealed to me was how massive and busy this looks like. They say it's a crowded city, and I think that you captured that really well. I especially like that the road runs through it at an interesting angle. So it does that. If I was going to change anything, I might take a little bit off the top, which when I look at it, it's so far away, it looks like lower suburbs. But all in all, it captures how vibrantly crowded this city is. Next.
Calm before the storm.
Okay. I'm still waiting for it to pop up, so as soon as it does, I'll say something. There it is. I like the colors on this. The gold of the grasses is really set off by the blue in the sky. And I went back and forth on this one when I was looking at it, because I thought that I might like a little less sky, but I think that because I might take about 1/4 of an inch off the top of it to see. But even without that, as it is, it's lovely. It could go either way. Next.
Dahlia at golden hour.
I love this picture. The only thing that was distracting to me, and I would clone them out or use something to get rid of the white spots just on the tips of the leaves and do them black or pull the purple down, because the one that starts from the bottom right, the first one is really dark, and it's the first thing I see, and then I don't see the beautiful greens and purple that so complement each other. Next.
Fly away home.
Well, after I looked at this, I was walking around the house singing Ladybug, Ladybug, Fly Away Home. And how you did it, if you caught the ladybug and put it inside, or if you have a garden with a nice black background. But it just brought joy to me as I sang along looking at it. Next.
Pictorial A, 8 images.
Elkhorn Pastoral.
I like this. For me, what adds to it, I keep having to move my picture down below so I can see it. What I really liked on this one was the layers, the water, the sticks, who knows, might have been a pier or just something growing. It has a nice layered feeling. And on this one, I like the amount of sky you included. And I like the gray. It has a foggy coastal feeling to it. Well done. Next.
You can call me honey.
Oh, the big discussion at N4C, which by the way, I hate to go to, whether honeybees are wild or domesticated. I'm sorry, to me, a bee is a bee. And I really like this one, and why I like it is because it's hard to catch the wings and the body all sharp. And the wings have enough translucency that it looks like it's, you can see through them, but they're sharp enough that I see detail. And I see the highlight in the black eye, or I haven't looked at a bee that close recently. I sat on one last year, but I I like how the eye looks and how it's just coming in for a landing. Next.
Survivor.
Very nice. It has the feeling of a survivor. However you frame this very well, and what I especially liked about it was how the top of the mast just goes up in the clouds, and where it's placed, I can see it all. And I can see everything in fine detail, and then it has the beautiful sky and water. And let me move this down. And the water lapping against the shore. Well, very well seen. Next.
Reflections of Petaluma's past.
I like this. It intrigued me enough that I thought that maybe I would take a little, being that I can go out in my car as long as I don't go near anybody, and see Petaluma. I went there a few years ago and saw this, but I didn't see these nice reflections, and it captures a feeling for me of both the old and the new, which works well. And even though Foreman, hard, I know it says where, because I can see enough of the letters even through this dark blue. So I know what building I'm looking at. Next.
Sparkles. The afternoon sun, the little bird watching the sparkles, the browns making a canvas for the light to make the dancing sparkles, and paint blue grays on the little bird. It was magical.
Well, it is magical. Your title is so long, it probably won't fit into the program where they do it. And I like the lighting on the bird. I'm not sure whether I like the out of focus or well, they're not really out of focus, the brightness of the sparkles in the lower right-hand corner. I would tone them down a little bit because I think they add to the story, and you put it in your title. So to you, it was important, but it's really bright and it distracts a bit from the bird. Next.
Beautiful riverbank.
Dark and mysterious. And luckily, in the shadow, there is a bit of the red blossom or pink, maroon, whichever way you look at shadow in the water. And you have your horizon nice and straight. It has that river feeling that you kind of want to explore, but then maybe it's a little bit too mysterious because it's sort of dark. It intrigues me because of the light and the dark in here. Next.
Tranquility.
I went back and forth on this one. And I think that I suspect the photographer wanted me to look at the flower, the lily pod, water lily, and the reflection in the pads. If that's what you wanted me to see, I would crop off some of the bottom. And I don't have anything that can point to it. But in the middle of the stalk of leaves or stems, there's a brown spot. I would probably crop it to just below there because the rest of it isn't as interesting as what you're showing me up above. Next.
Through the trees, down the creek.
I wonder if this is the creek turning to a river. And it is in this case, I'm glad you put the trees in the title because when I looked at it, I thought maybe it was under a bridge or something. And that said, I would like to see a little more detail in the tree trunks that are forming the triangle because at least I have to look on both of my computer screens because one has right color and one has right light. But I would like to see a little bit more light on the tree trunks so that I could see some texture. Not a lot, because if you do, it'll distract from the reward that we're seeing through the trees. Next.
Pictorial AA, 8 images.
Old fence, older tree.
Well, somebody had an interesting reason to have a fence here. What I like about this one, what you captured, is the fence. And as it juxtapositions, to me at first almost looked like it went through the trees, it stopped. So if that is all your image, I might come in a little bit on the left, because the green behind the tree trunk, as I'm looking at it on the right-hand side, isn't as interesting as the fence that's surrounding the ancient tree. Next.
Aurora florealis.
Interesting concept. And I like the red as it shoots out from the center of the Aurora florealis, but I find it a little bit too dark. Maybe, well, I don't know how it is when you do it in online, on the photo programs, but it made me like an eighth of a stop more light, so I could see a little bit more detail in the center of the flower. Next.
A squadron of pelicans over Doran Beach birdwalk.
This is a lot of fun. I looked at these birds closely. I don't know whether you added them or if they fortunately flew over, but it's not one bird repeating. And what I enjoyed about it was seeing all the different positions of the wings and how and then I looked at so the sky I found very interesting. And then I looked at the creek as it goes out to the beach, I guess it's a creek. It's a place I would want to walk along, and I can see there's some people on the trail. So this is another spot I might put on my list of maybe I can go if there's nobody around. Next.
Night at the vineyard.
Well, before I was complaining about things being dark. Here I really like the darkness because I can see the stars lighting up the sky, and I can see the vines and the mystery of it all. I would like to, if I was 20, I'd like to sit in a parked car with a boyfriend. But being that I'm a lot older than that, I can sit in front of my computer and just enjoy the beautiful sky. This is something that would look good on a wall, I think. Next.
Early morning along Washington Street, Petaluma.
Well, congratulations to the photographer getting up early. You've caught the light very well. And what I appreciate and can enjoy is the starburst around the sun. I mean, it's really a bright spot, but because it has the starbursts that go out into the dark, it becomes an integral part of the picture. And I like how the light has lit the bench. If I was going to change one thing, there's a little section of the bench in the lower left-hand corner that I might clone out. But I'll tell you, I didn't notice it when I first looked at it on the screen. Next.
The bee and thistle.
Well, somebody certainly has some bees. I got to plant something new in my backyard. Again, this is incredibly sharp. The flower is sharp. The bee is sharp. The wings have that bee-like look to them. I think you captured a moment in this bee's life. And thank you for sharing it with us. Next.
A cold winter's morning in the Eastern Sierra.
Again, while I appreciate, now I get up early, but I used to never do that. But I seldom go out anything that looks this cold, and I can appreciate it. What's really lovely in this picture is the base. And there's not a lot of it there, and I don't think you need any more because it does show, oops. wait a minute, I hit something, I better hit escape. Okay. I like the golden brown against the massive mountain. And your choice of foreground really makes me realize how massive this mountain is. Next.
Doe in the grass.
I heard somebody talking about deer before your meeting started, and I was wishing one would come to into my yard, but then it might eat my roses, so I changed my mind. But it looks like the deer is studying the world around it, the doe, and I like that feeling. It has a nice life in the day of a deer feel to it. Would I change anything on it? I might crop off some of the bottom because there's quite a bit of it, and that would put the deer closer to the bottom and would take out some of the out of focus bottom, but as it is, it still works. Next.
Pictorial Masters, 7 images.
Dirty Money, 2.
Oh, I wonder if there's a fortune in there. I can't see anything that looks rare. An interesting subject. I enjoy seeing things that are not traditional photos, and this one certainly isn't. And thank you for sharing your imagination with us. And all that money, there might be a fortune in there. Next.
Little Girl, Blue.
She has beautiful skin tones. Her outfit is beautiful. Her and everything about it is beautiful. If it were mine, I would change it to Little Girl in Blue, only because Little Girl Blue is a Janis Joplin song that that is very sad. And this doesn't make me sad. She's lovely. And her parents would be very proud and happy to have this picture. They have a perfect little model. Next.
A dish from Kendall Jackson Heirloom Festival, Tomato Festival, Top Chef competition.
Here's the thing. I love to take pictures of food. I only take them with my phone and then try and put them on Yelp. And I love how well you capture this steak, this tomato and steak, it looks like. But because it's pictorial, I don't think you have to put everything in the title, because now it becomes more of a picture that would probably do well in photojournalism because everybody likes those. It's a little distracting that, well, say I say it wrong, they'll say, oh, she's blind. But what might be a potato on the right side, it's kind of soft. I don't think it needs to be sharp because it would distract from the star of the show, the tomatoes and the steak. But it's a good portion of your picture. So a little bit more sharpness might make it a wee bit more interesting. Next.
What I experienced looking at this image is a discomforting feeling that the damn duck is alive and looking at me, stuck in that torture contraption. But my left brain knows it's just meat now.
I really like this. And I can see, I mean, I looked at this duck a couple times, and the one with at the very on the right with its eyes so sharp, I said, could it be alive? It looks like it's hanging in a Chinese restaurant, but could have they made a mistake? And I like, well, I was talking about focus before. I like how the depth of field just gets softer and softer as it goes back. I might not have duck after this, because now that I know in a torture contraption, I might think twice about asking for roast duck. Next.
Morning lotus bud.
What? It does look like these are authentic water drops because they're different sizes. And I think when you spray them, they usually come out the same side. I appreciate the shadow, and I like where you had the stem come out. If it came out of the corner, it would be too predictable. And I like that the dark on the right hand side isn't as bright as the other, because it gives me more chance to look at the beautiful flower. Very nice. Next.
Anne's country.
It makes me want to walk. I've been looking at a lot of pictures of people walking in the Oakland Hills in the watershed country, or Contra Costa Hills. And all I can think of, I bet there are rattlesnakes in there. But maybe it's early enough in the spring that it's not. I like the detail in the trunk of the tree. I like how you've cropped it. I don't think I'd change anything. I don't want to see the whole tree. You had me center in what I think is the most important part, which is the trunk as it spreads out and the branches as it comes out there with a little bit of blossoms. Next.
Cactus flower. Usually arid greenhouses burst into wild color in April when the cacti start to flower. Blooms usually only last one day.
Well, one day of beauty and then it fades away. In this case, I mean, I would like to see the bottom petals or less of the top, so that it looks like you deliberately cut it off. That it was the photographer's idea. And I think that being the case, I would take some off the top and make it right to the edge. So it kind of, unless I'm not seeing the whole picture, which, I don't know. Let me move. No, I'm moving the people around. Wait, oh, it's there. Wait a minute. I think I talked too fast. There is enough of the leaf on the bottom. I would still think I would come in a little closer at the top. Next.
Monochrome B, 5 images.
Never, never, never give up.
That mouse looks like it's trying to open the beak, the bird's beak. It's a little bright on the back of the bird, but I'm not looking at that. I'm moving my picture, the picture of people around so I can really see the bottom. So sometimes I have to go back and correct myself. It really caught a moment in this life and death of in the marshlands. I like the background that it's out of focus. It makes a nice background for the bird. And again, even though there's a bright stripe on the back of the bird, and at first I thought it was distracting, but it easily became overlooked when I saw that that bird was trying, the mouse was trying to open the bird's mouth. But I suspect he didn't succeed. Next.
Giraffe, Giraffa camelopardilius reticulata, stops for a snack at the feeding station. Living Desert Zoo, Palm Desert.
Congratulations on reading all these Latin names.
Somewhat.
Well, you can fool me. I don't know either way. I love the giraffe. It's a perfect picture for black and white photography. I'm a little distressed. I'd like to see the top of whatever you call the horns. It doesn't say in the picture. It's okay that they're cut off, but now I'm curious. Of course, it can also mean that there's something unattractive there too, but she certainly got its face well. Next.
Coming out of the dark.
I like the light on this. It is dark and kind of mysterious, but what I can appreciate the light on the petals and the light on the stem just as before it gets to the plant. It gives a nice definition of the thing. And there looks like there's a faint border around the picture. It's probably because that's how my computer's seen it. But it's really very lovely and a good subject again for monochrome. Next.
Birds of flight over chapel.
I like the biggest bird is the most out of focus. So for me, that's a little bit distracting, but then birds don't stay still in the sky. So you could say, Terry, what do you expect? They fly. I one time had a judge look at one of my pictures and see a bird and flies it in nature and say it's not in its natural habitat. 30 years I've remembered that, so I'm not too hard on it. But I like the sky on this, and I love the church. Maybe you could crop it. I would maybe take it out. I don't think I'd crop it out because then it would crowd the other ones, but it's something to think about. And other people might like the feeling emotion. Something like that's kind of a personal opinion. Next.
Song, Starting Fire, Namibia.
I really like this one. And the reason I like this one is because he is concentrating on what he's doing. Does he pay to do it? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think he walked up to somebody's barbecue. But this one image absolutely fascinated me, from his hair to the smoke. I even spent some time studying his toes. He looks like he cuts his toenails. And I like the concentration on what he's doing is magnificent. Next.
Monochrome, 9 images.
This tree has been made more interesting and beautiful by all the hardships that it's endured.
It is a beautiful tree along an interesting trail. A nice title for it. The sky is nice. It looks like you darkened the corners a little bit. Maybe the sky was that way. So when I look at this, if what you want me to look at is the tree and the path and the cloud, you've exceeded very well, because that's what I see and that's what I notice about it. And it gives me a feeling of timelessness, I can't talk tonight, which I think is something photography can often do for us. Next.
Bounty.
This one, what appealed to me at first on this one was that you had detail in what maybe is, I'm not sure what the sack is made out of, burlap. It made me think of bygone eras when people had farms and they had equipment and they worked. Now the gardener comes and cuts the lawn for my homeowners association. It has, and the ground and the texture, and the ropes, everything is exactly where it should be. There is nothing I could change on this one. Next.
Storm Light.
This was a hard category for me to judge this time because I liked everything I saw, and I liked this one. And why I like it is because of the clouds and the sky behind the building. And it looks, even though it looks a little raggedy, the window doesn't look too bad. And in the setting, everything, again, it looks like another era, something from the gold rush maybe, or something from another time. It makes me want to go there and look around. Next.
Morning-evening interface. As dawn's light renews the day, the lamplight retreats and yields. In a few hours, the lamplight will renew and relieve the evening of its fading duties.
Nice title, very poetic. Again, I think it exceeds the maximum what they'll read at N4C ever. I like it. I like the lamp and I like the window. Unfortunately, there's something on the desk, but I don't think in these kind of instances you can move them because wherever you are would probably, people would become unglued. But I love the title, and the light really does show up there in the in-between period. Next.
On a warm river's evening.
I spent a lot of time studying this one. And then I decided the person did have clothes on and I wasn't going to be looking at another naked body. My club has a lot of people who photograph nudes, but I like it. And then I kind of wondered, was this person fishing? It looked like maybe he had a fishing pole. It's mysterious. And the moon rising is really quite lovely behind the clouds. A very place that I think anybody who enjoys a little bit of peace and quiet might want to go. Next.
Lonely docent.
This is another one I went back and forth on. I decided, was he in the ideal place? Well, I thought maybe I'd want him a little bit away from the support beam or a little in front of it. And then I decided, no, he's where he would be. Because why would a docent want to sit where he couldn't, he or she, although I think it's a he, cannot lean back. What's nice on this one is the gray scales and how there's black, there's white, and there's almost every shade of gray in between. An important consideration in monochrome. Next.
Syncopated shadows.
I like the shadows in this. Every once in a while I have to get up when something sounds wrong. I like that the shadows match, because even though I'm assuming possibly, and maybe not, the shadows are coming from both sides of the path. They all match. And again, this one has blacks in it, it has some white in it, and it has several shades of gray. It looks like it covers the gray scale very well. I don't think I could change anything on this one. Next.
Solstice.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the next title.
Solstice.
Oh, okay. The sky on this is nice. You caught the structure very well. There's a lot of sky in it, and I might consider cropping some of it down just a little bit, because there's nothing much interesting above the light, the one light spot that's almost at the top. It's almost all dark. So it could be argued that that sets the tone from the sky. You wouldn't want it down further, because then it would not have a place for the white part to go. But that said, as it is, it's very nice and definitely would be a place people would want to be. Next.
I'm going to eat you.
This is so charming. I mean, we don't see all its eyes, we don't see all its ears, but I see a look of determination in this critter's face, and it made me smile and it made me laugh. And that's hard to do in photography, to really capture something that that almost looks animated. I mean, doesn't he look, or she look like it's ready to pounce? Next.
Monochrome AA, 6 images.
Kindred spirits.
I was going to try and blow this one up. I think she has a mask on, so it might, or he. I like, what I find especially appealing about this image is the footprints in the sand. You can see that they've walked along. The trust that the horse seems to have in the person who's leading it, and the beautiful waves. And they're not coming in just straight on. They're coming in at an angle that just gives such life and motion to this picture. And again, it doesn't have a lot of black in it, but it has some, and it has beautiful shades of gray in the sand. Next.
Gravitas.
I'm sure whoever this is would like to have this picture, because it really shows an intent. There's a certain regalness about it. I like it. The glasses at an angle on it, his head, his intense stare. It looks like somebody who is thinking deeply. I don't think I could change anything on it. I like everything. I like that there's a little bit of light on the glasses, so I can see that he has them in his head. And his skin tones are very nice. Sometimes when you photograph people with darker skin, you get highlights, and they can be distracting. This photographer knew how to capture the skin tones of this man and show them to their best advantage. Next.
Solo climber tops out on Grandpa Peabody, the largest boulder in the world-renowned Buttermilk Boulders climbing area, Bishop, California, while Grandma Peabody looks on.
Seeing these people, 3 of them, I guess, there might be more if I move seeing the 3 people really show how large this boulder is. Because until I noticed the people at the bottom, I didn't realize how tall it was. So kudos for including, especially the person holding up the rock. Nice sky, interesting placement of the people. And now that when I really see that she was holding up the rock, I realized it must have been a rather difficult climb up there, unless there's some stairs on the other side, but very interesting position. I've never heard of these rocks before, but next.
Grandma and grandson play by the water's edge.
This image has a lot of joy in it. And often when you take pictures of maybe family or maybe somebody walking along the beach, but that you got pretty close to this one, they're just family portrait. But in this one is different. I think this one has a universality about it, that it could be any child. It shows a certain joy of childhood and on the beach and experimenting and love between 2 people. And so it's more than just a family album shot. It shows a part of life that is very nice. Next.
Deacon Everton.
It certainly looks at, and I looked at this, and I couldn't decide whether I wanted it straight or if I liked the angle you shot it at. And then I decided I liked the angle, because if you're going to make me feel unbalanced and worried, a little uneasy about walking through this structure, you succeeded. If you wanted me to run through it on my tippy toes, you scared me. And that's a good thing. Everybody will look at something like this differently. And I like how the shadow, maybe it's light coming through cracks in the wall, or maybe it's paint. I'm hesitant to guess, but the light and the dark here work very well. Next.
Crop windrows, the Palouse.
I have a feeling you can't go wrong with photographs in the Palouse. And what's really nice about this one is how the lines in the first section are repeated and go back, and how the colors on it look. It would make me feel that maybe there's something to be said about farming, other than having to clear all the fields and make it look this good. And I like the sky in this. However you process this image, you showed off everything to perfection. Next.
Monochrome Masters, 6 images.
The Back Room, Goldfield, Nevada.
I like this. I've been reading, there's a group that, a photo person who sometimes takes people to Goldfield. I decided it was too far for me to drive now. But I like this. Again, it has a sense of times gone by. And I like that you included the person, because it makes it look like it's a living, breathing ghost town. I could see a date on what might be a calendar, it might be a photo, I don't know, it might be an advertisement. But the texture, again, the textures and the light are nice. If I had my druthers, I would have let the, I'm not sure, it looks almost like a pool table or a billiard table, a little bit, because I think the chairs are up against the bar, because that's a pretty dark square. Wait a minute. Let me look again. Sorry. I revised my thing on my computer that's light. I see it. It has perfect detail. Ignore everything I said. I can see the detail perfectly. And I get better look down below before I speak. Next.
Street scene, Mexico City.
This has a lot of humor in it, and I find it quite charming. I mean, the paint or the sparklies on the wall behind the man or child inside the store, the junk around, the lineup of his wares, the fact that I think we have both male and female models. I can tell by their knees, and it just has a lot of interest. Everywhere I look, there's something to look at. I'm making my rounds from computer screen to computer screen. And again, I'm so sorry about that pool table. Next.
Seals at rest.
I like that I can see both of them very well. The eyes on the one and the whiskers on the other one. The eyes aren't perfectly sharp, but maybe they look like they're almost closed. And it shows a real relationship between the animals, or how crowded the beach is. I don't mind that it's really bright in the right-hand corner, left-hand corner, because it makes the eyes pop of the seal in the back. Nice zooming in on catching just the two of them and what was probably a crowded beach. Next.
Steve? Cannon Beach, a tourist mecca during the summer. In the off seasons, it can be beset by fog from the ocean or inland. This can make photographers very happy.
Ah, there it is. Yes, it would make photographers very happy. I like your vantage point here. Because it's in fog, it almost looks like it's not evening because the water line, but I can't tell for sure where the water line is. So I'm not downgrading it on that. And I like the misty feeling of it. I can't imagine tourists here, but tourists seem to go everywhere, or did. Nice lighting. Next.
I would rather be catching mice.
Well, I can certainly see why. And having two cats, this cat is talking to the photographer. I'm not sure whether that's what it's saying, but I'm pretty sure it is. If the world was perfect, I'd like to see the bottom of the paws, but where you cut them off is fine because I know you did it deliberately. And I didn't even notice it at first because that cat is staring at me. I almost feel like I should put hold one of my cats up so they could see what mousers look like. Next.
Nature's symmetry.
I like how the shell is broken. At first I was a little concerned because I didn't see a lot of variation in the shades, but when I sat and looked at it longer, I definitely can see the whites and the grays. And I don't know whether you found this shell. If you did, congratulations. If you brought it there and laid it there, congratulations too for finding the perfect spot. But it does show a lot of sense of design. You had nothing to do with it unless you broke it, but the way the shell is broken is very interesting. I can see the center, I can see the lines, and pictorially, that's pleasing. Next.
Okay.
Taking a break?
Yeah, break time.
10 minutes.
Okay. Okay, about 5 minutes.
Yeah, sounds
Speaker view, or if you just move those dots, those bars to a one bar, then it all goes away and you're able to see the full picture. So if you had some things like people covering things, do just the one bar look.
Oh, I'll do that
And
because I've been
yeah.
pulling things down.
I saw you struggling with that, so okay, thank you.
Thank you for the hint. And now I have to remember to look at both screens. Oh, your head is coming out of your car now.
Yeah, my
You're
clothing
coming out
is
of the hood.
the
Painful.
color is my backdrop.
Okay, just about there. And does everyone see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Journalism B, one image. Come on. Oh, I have to switch one moment.
Berkeley, eclectic and vibrant, one of 4. Berkeley continues to export vibrance and free expression, art, and science. Students from all over bring bright minds as well as world-class food styles to the town. Then go through all 4 first, Steve. Sorry, my screen.
Oh, are you going to show the whole 4 and want to go?
Yeah.
Or should I go?
My-
I'm sorry. Okay.
My screen
Or
just
should we
froze
go
up.
back? I can comment on. Well, I can, if you can go back, I'll comment on each one when they come up then.
Okay, or we can go run
Or do
through,
you want to show all?
we can do all 4 and then go back through them one at a time.
Perfect.
But I couldn't
Already?
hear the conclusion.
Yeah, the
You're
conclusion is we'll do
or one at a time.
all 4.
Okay.
Mirror on Berkeley.
So we're going through all 4?
Yeah, we'll go through all 4 and then come back and then you take it from there.
Okay.
Mirror in Berkeley Espresso, Shattuck and Hearst reflects 2020 new age philosophy and politics served with an eclectic menu to citizens who still wear jaunty berets. Next.
Okay.
The rotunda of Berkeley City College has wall-high murals recalling Berkeley from when larger-than-life humans lit the fire for a movement larger than America. At its core, Berkeley remains a place serving students, providing learning and quiet spaces for young people to ponder what's next in an ever faster changing world. Okay.
All right. So now you're going to go. Okay.
So now you can take it, Terry, and go through one by one or however you wish to do.
Yeah, I'll come on them and then we'll go next. I like this one. It really shows a lot about Berkeley. This is pretty far up on University, fairly far up. I like that it shows the people, the cars. I can see a little bit of the menu, nice patio, good food. I probably, if I blew it up, could read the menu. So it definitely looks like Berkeley to me. Next. This one is interesting. I like being able to see all the posters in reverse, and I like his beret. And we get an idea of the time of day and things. It doesn't yell out Berkeley as much to me as the other ones do, but it works well enough in your story, but it isn't as important as the others. Next.
Whoops.
This one really is important because to your story, it shows all the people who were part of this. Some we recognize probably, some we don't. It's an overview of the Berkeley experience on a wall. Next. I don't know which Top Dog this is. Top Dog had the best hot dogs around, but I think the one nearest the campus closed a year or so ago, which is too bad because I really did like their hot dogs. They might have one left. But this is quintessential Berkeley for anybody who's been in the area for any time knows. Everybody went to Top Dog. From the professors to the students to the revolutionaries. Next.
Journalism A, 2 images.
Pilot boat. A pilot boat transports an experienced mariner to a cargo ship. The pilot then navigates the cargo ship safely through the hazardous waterway to its destination. The cargo ship is navigated to Port Aransas to Corpus Christi, Texas via the channel. The pilot boat returns later to retrieve the pilot from the ship on its way back to sea.
Okay. Well, I actually learned something from this, these two slides. I didn't realize that the pilot or somebody from the pilot boat got on the ship and helped guide it out. So we see the ship, the pilot boat, which is good. So we know what we're talking about. That fits within the story. And I can see what I believe is the boat out above the pier. So I know something's coming this way. Okay, next. And there it is. And interestingly, in this story, the sky tells part of the story, because in the first picture, it was lighter. It wasn't as vibrant. So some time has passed since it moved from the right of the lighthouse building, or whatever it might be, to where it is now. So in addition to your two stories and your titles that gave us information, you showed the passage of time with the light, an important part of a story. Next.
Crafting Ipu Heke, 1 of 4. Ancient Hawaiian hulas, or kahiko, are accompanied by chanting and percussion instruments like the Ipu Heke being made here. Kumu,
I thought this was interesting.
Kahaulani instructs this workshop of Polynesian dancers in the craft of Ipu Heke making in Berkeley, California. The Halmauna, or students, construct their drums from 2 pohui gourds. Ipu Heke are used to provide the rhythm for ancient Hawaiian chants and dances. Wendy S., Steph, and Wendy H. play their Ipu Heke and chant Kawika at the Hulu Mai Ho Iki in Sonoma, California, 2019.
Okay. Oh, this is the first one. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong number. I like this one. Now, I noticed that everybody is really intent on what they're doing. Some of them are wearing masks, which might be because it was taken currently, or it might be because there's a lot of dust from carving these instruments. But it sets up the story. So we see an overview of what's happening, a good introduction. And next. Now we come in closer. We see the interaction between the two. She's explaining something. We're getting more of an intimate view of what's going on, because she is obviously going to tell the woman about this instrument. Okay, next. We see the concentration here. I'm looking at it. I don't know whether, I think they're in the right order, because even though they're different people, the first one shows she's telling her about it, and now she's carving it. I don't know whether she would carve it first and then hear about it. The maker wouldn't know, and it's not important, but in the story it might be. Okay, next. Well, this tells what they do with the instrument afterwards, and as they chant and play their instrument. And it's a nice closing to this story, but if it wasn't here, I would still find the other ones exciting because it tells something that I don't know about. And I guess as an end of the story, it would make sense to have what you do with it. This is a personal opinion, and many people disagree with me. I wouldn't necessarily put the year on it because I don't think it's dated because these things go on more frequently, but I like the idea that maybe it's something current. Next.
Journalism AA, 3 images.
Mongolian wrestling, 1 of 4. In the Nadam competition, there are no weight divisions. It's possible for a wrestler to face an opponent twice his size. Smaller wrestlers try to end the match quickly before they can be overpowered. There is no time limit. The match ends when one of the wrestlers is forced to touch his knee, back, or elbow to the ground. The winner receives a hat with a medal. According to legend, the bare-chested attire is necessary to prevent women from competing disguised as men. Gobi Desert.
Okay. Well, as I look at this one, and my first glance was, this guy doesn't have a chance. I like the rope around their belly area. It's kind of a sense of mystery. The concentration, they're ready to go for it. Nice shot. Next. Oh, now I think the little guy is going to lose out here. I mean, he looks like he's done for. But looking at him, he may be little, but I get the impression, which as a viewer of the story, you captured something that makes me think maybe this guy's not going to lose as badly as I think he is, because he has pretty strong looking legs. And then we have the guy in his ultra cool sunglasses waiting. Then we go to the next one. Oh, we're getting close here. Something's going to happen. This is just so exciting to look. I mean, when I first saw him, I was on the edge of my seat waiting to see what was going to happen here. Next. And it looks like the little guy won. And this made me laugh. And even when I stopped later in the evening when I was thinking about the images, this one made me laugh. Because what woman, at least no woman I know, would want to wrestle and be thrown around like this, even for a cool hat. So it's a wonderful story. Your titles explained everything that was going on. It told me everything I needed to know. And I wish they would have a show near me. Next.
A young writer plans his next jump at the Phoenix Theater on January 8, 2019.
I like this one. I like his expression. It looks like an old abandoned theater, wherever it may be. I like the graffiti on what looks like a ramp. And this is something you had no control over, but it looks a little dark. I might try to give it a little bit more exposure, only if it doesn't lighten the young man too much, because his expression is very interesting. And it looks like it's a sport that I didn't know anything about. They used to break into the power plant by my house and do things, but I don't think any of them ever rode these jumps. Next.
Silent March, 1 of 4. On June 13th, upwards of 300 people gathered on the lawn of SRJC to hear speakers and march in solidarity against police brutality in a Black Lives Matter protest in Santa Rosa. The marchers took over Mendocino Avenue and made their way north to the Sheriff's Department admin building on Ventura Avenue. There was some chanting, but most protesters let their signs convey their frustrations. Under blue skies with the state flag and Old Glory flying at half-mast, the marchers all took a knee in protest of racial inequality.
Okay. This is very timely, and I think it's a very newsworthy picture. I mean, it shows people in a situation where I would probably feel uncomfortable at, but everybody's masked, everybody's concentrating, everybody is peaceful. One guy doesn't have a mask and he's taking pictures, but he probably ruins it for everybody else, or she. But it's a good start to this whole series. Next. I appreciate that I can read most of the signs. I mean, I don't need to read them all, but I definitely know why they're there. And I can appreciate their enthusiasm here because they are determined to come out and say what they feel they need to say. Next. I like this one. And you have names. It's clear what they're protesting. I think that you captured this very well, and congratulations for braving the elements and going out there. Next. I find this one very emotional. Everybody is respectful. I don't know, because I didn't read about any riots in Santa Rosa, but everybody looks peaceful. They look intent. They are saying what they need to say in an orderly fashion. I like that you captured the flags at half-mast. Very newsworthy, and I think we'll be seeing several of these demonstrations in the near future. Next.
Journalism Masters, 5 images.
Summertime.
It does say summertime. It could be photojournalism. I think for a photojournalism, a better title would convey more of a story. Because right now I see that it's the season, and with a bee and a summer flower. Beautiful picture. I think it would do well in Pictorial. Next.
Cups, 1 of 3. An exhibit by C.K. Itamura uses a circle of 2020 cups to represent slowing of the passing of time since the election of the current U.S. president. Sonoma County Museum, Santa Rosa, California. Daily, the artist removes some of the 2020 cups and returns them the next day painted in dark colors. Gradually, the circle of time turns darker until the exhibit ends when all are dark. Itamura created each cup handmade in her Peach Farm studio. The Circle of Cups art installation evolves daily during the exhibit show Emerging Artists of Sonoma County.
Okay. First of all, I'm going to say, I think it might have been interesting to have the artist as the first person that she creates this. I don't know. It either has to be the first or the end, and it's something to think about because I'm not sure. Do we need to know who the artist is who's created this, or do we need to see the installation and then find out who created it? But I think in this instance, your titles are so important. It shows, it tells me what I'm looking at, because otherwise I might not know. And she made that many cups. She was an ambitious artist. Next. Okay. Again, your title tells me what I'm looking at and gives me a different idea of what her politics are, which I don't know whether there's important, but I think that I'm glad that you did that. Next. Well, now we know that she's in Sonoma County. We know she's an emerging artist. We know she has created something that is really grabs at least my attention. Enough that if it was there when museums open, or if they have, that I would take a ride up and look. Next.
Women's roller derby, how it seems from the stands to this derby newbie, 104. Sometimes the action appears to go by.
Well, when I was probably a teenager, or maybe in my 20s, roller derby was all the thing, the Bay Area Bombers. And this is how it looked. I mean, they were on TV. I watched it with my mom. And this is the action. And so, and fortunately, the skate is sharp enough that I know what this person is moving on. Oh, I was supposed to wait till you showed them all, wasn't I?
Either way,
Okay,
it works either
next.
way.
Okay.
2 of 4, a jumble, yet we still have a sense of what's happening. 3 of 4, then someone pulls out way ahead of the pack for the win by Santa Clara Roller Derby Hella Organic Rollers.
Okay. Well, I'll comment on this one because I commented on the first one and my comments are still the same. I like that. I like the action in this. If you've never seen roller derby, it goes fast and it's jumbled and it's exciting and it looks like the referees or the two teams are out there. You can see one's in black and one's in gray in stripes. So on we go as we go to the next adventure. Next. This one I like too, because now we can see she's been whipped out. And I love, and the guard is out there to try and knock her over the side of the thing. I am just personally fascinated, and I'll give my secret, by roller derby. And I'd like to go once because they have a Richmond group near me. But it's that women are much more into roller derby now. I don't hear any men's roller derby. but she's out there and she's moving. Next. And she's won. And again, you can get a sense of her emotion. The photographer took a lot of effort, it looks, with him. I mean, some of them look jumbled, but she put them together to tell a story. But what is so fascinating about this one, as she's coming in for her win, but organic rollers, how interesting name for a team, is her skate is sharp enough that you know that she's on roller skates. The other one is moving, so it's fast. You've caught both the action and what's going on by having that one skate really steady. Next.
CHOP, 1 of 4. Roadblocks restricted access to the Seattle area known as the Capitol Hill Occupied Protest, or CHOP, after riots erupted in May-June 2020, protesting the death of George Floyd. Originally erected by police in the East Precinct, concrete barricades became memorials and protest signs after the area was occupied by protesters on June 6, 2020. After police boarded up and left the East Precinct on June 8th, protesters declared the 6-block area of CHOP a police-free zone. Wall art memorialized the death of George Floyd when Officer Derek Chauvin knelt on his neck for almost 9 minutes. Protest art was preserved when CHOP was dismantled by the police July 1st.
Okay, we can start at the beginning. Okay. Oh, that went back fast. I think that this is another very timely demonstration. This one seems to have lasted longer than any of the other ones. And fortunately for the photographer, I mean, I'm looking at all the signs and seeing things and getting a feeling for the area. But the motorcycle or the bike rider you caught them at the right point. They're not cut off. So I can tell by looking at this, it is still an active area. Okay. And it definitely shows everything nice and sharp. And I like that whatever that sign is, probably a bar out, but it adds to the story. Next. I haven't gotten anything new on my screen yet. Oh, there it is. Well, again, it shows the area, it shows to me a peaceful protest. We have names, we have the people, we have people still in the area walking. We have this area of town that has been blocked off and changed. The colors are nice. For a protest, it's really kind of beautiful. Next. Everybody looks kind of peaceful. The people sitting there do not look threatening. They may be yelling at people walking by, but if they are, I can't tell. They have some old protest signs there. I probably look close, but I don't see too many obscenities on the wall, if any. I like that that you caught this with people there. So in addition to being boarded up, it has a sense of life to it. Next. This is pretty amazing, the artwork, and you captured it. Well, I mean, it might be hard not to capture something, but again, it has beauty in it, in addition to the horror of what happened. And this protest really shows to me that perhaps things are going to change for the better, I hope. But every picture in this series belongs. There's nothing I would take out, and there's nothing I would change. And your titles give me enough information that I know what's going on. Well done. Next.
South and North fight at Duncan Mills Civil War days. The war ended 155 years ago, though many today are still fighting for the justice it promised. Future reenactments may reflect today's changes.
I thought about this picture a lot, and your title made me think about it more. Will things change? Will they even have these reenactments again? I don't know. They were very popular. I know people who go to them every year. I've never been to one. But it almost looks real, the smoke and the position of the people. Of course, they're a little close, but, and the dead and the dying on the laying down. I think that it captured this event, and the tattered flag. If you had not had the tattered flag in there, I don't think I would have even thought twice about this picture. But the flag really was thought-provoking, and it made me think about these kind of reenactments and what it meant. Next.
Level B, 3 images.
Huayna Picchu in Central Plaza at Machu Picchu. Huayna Picchu, translated as Young Peak in Quechua, looms 865 feet above the Central Plaza of Machu Picchu, elevation 7970, Peru.
A beautiful scenic picture of this peak on Machu Picchu at the plaza. It looks like the green is a little off, but then I've never been walking around that I can remember, except maybe the Bristol Cone Pines, at this high of an elevation. So it might well be that green. So that did not come into my thought on this picture. And I do believe I see a few people on the stairwell, which makes it look like people are still enjoying this. And too bad somebody wasn't on the plaza, but maybe that would have ruined it. But being on the stairs and along the pathway, it gives a sense, again, a sense of scale, because those people are awfully small and the walls are awfully large. Next.
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 Oh, I said next, yes.
Himba woman with yellow canteen, Kunene region, northwestern Namibia.
What I thought about this was, well, there were several things that interested me on this. Of course, her hair, which looks like it belonged in the meat market or something, but it's very beautiful on her. And I'm wondering what her hair is falling on. It looks like she's carrying something on her back, which I'm not sure. And then while she looks very traditional, has a nice expression on her face, even though I can't see her full face. She looks happy. She doesn't look angry. She looks very graceful. And then she has this really kind of modern canteen. This contrast for me is very interesting because it's the traditional and the not so traditional. Next.
Boys will be boys. The Javanese love very sweet and very spicy foods. These boys are taking care of their sweet tooth at Candarejo village, Java, Indonesia.
I think this is charming. Because I could picture boys somewhere near here or near me doing this, but you've set up the picture. I know there is no place that has that kind of merchandise behind it that I'm aware of, although it could be someplace in the Mission if you didn't look too close. And their t-shirts, and they look pretty happy and they have nice hair. Because if I was, I love this picture, but if I was going to change one little thing on it, on the left-hand side, about halfway up, there's a little white spot. It's pointing to the boys, so that's a good thing. But it is the brightest thing on that side of the picture. But other than that, their smiles, and they're happy you're taking their picture. I don't know whether you had to pay them or buy them a soda, or if they just like tourists, but very nice. Next.
Travel A, 3 images.
Sandstone cliffs are reflected by the waters of the Colorado River, Moab, Utah.
It's definitely a reflection, and I think this is, for me, it was stretching the photo travel a little bit, but then there is water and there is reflections, and you've caught that. So I think that the rocks or the cliffs are clearly identifiable, even though they're in ripples, that they're in that part of the country. So it works also as a photo travel, but it would probably place higher in journalism. Next.
Venice morning.
I appreciate that there is detail in the boats and they're all faced out to go across the thing. It's the type of picture that makes everybody want to go to Venice. I like how you've cropped the boats and both the left and the right. It has a nice symmetry to it. And because they're not exactly straight in the center, it has an asymmetrical look to it also. And I like how you've managed not to completely cut off the right side of the building with the second or third mooring pole. It goes up the side of the building so I can see that part of it. Very nice. Next.
The boardwalk of Los Muertos Pier in Puerto Vallarta reaches out, circling and embracing the sail-like structure.
Again, what no, or several boats. It's a vibrant area. And it's something that if I was coming here, you've shown me some. picture because it would certainly encourage me to stop. Next.
Travel double A, 4 images.
Traditional dance is a major source of income for the Kabylian gypsies in northwestern Rajasthan. Here, the music accompaniment is by singing, harmonium, and a drum. Thar Desert, India.
Well, I figured that they were dancing for income, but they're doing very good. Their dresses, you've caught them in the perfect moment. I mean, the one hand is over the other woman, but that almost looks like it belongs there. But their other arms are up in the air, and the people in the back, you haven't cut off the fellows in the back with their hand. And I like that you have the shadow. It breaks up that space on the sand very well. They do it for money. Why not? Everybody needs to make a little income, and I would certainly pay them to dance for me. Next.
Gazing down into the massive painted hills amphitheater, John Day Fossil Beds, New Mexico, at the stunning red, yellow, and black ash layers formed by volcanic eruptions 35 million years ago.
Well, good title, because now I've learned something. I mean, you could call it the Painted Hills and I'd probably be happy. But you told me something about the eruption was 35 million years ago. So through your title and tying it into the picture, you've given me information about this area that I might not have known if I hurried by the sign that they might have been there to tell us. And I like that I could look down. The exposure is beautiful. I don't know how the sky got so dark behind it. I don't really need to know or don't care because it shows off the hills perfectly. I don't think I could change anything on this. Next.
Grand Tetons National Park, Wyoming.
It is a place that if you've been there, you would probably recognize it. I like that I can see the low clouds. My eyes aren't good enough to know whether that's little people out in the field, but my mind tells me it is. And that means that I realize the mountains are huge. And your choice of using a monochrome for this works well. And the reason I say that is it might have some green in the at the bottom, but if it did, it would just detract from the mountains. The mountains might have had splotchy colors on them, but I don't care. In the monochrome, you've captured the essence more than I think you would have in color. Next.
Pagoda, the oldest Buddhist temple in Hanoi, is located on a small island near the southeastern shore of Hanoi's West Lake, Vietnam.
I probably spent 5 minutes looking at this image. And the reason I did was because I wanted to know whether I would prefer to have seen it straight up and down, or if I would want to see it at this angle. And I finally decided I want to see it at this angle because I can see the side better. It gives it a sense of, well, what would be a good word for it? But it's a dynamic view of it. It shows it as a living, breathing monument. And the fact that there's a little person on the bottom right is helpful too. And the colors are nice. Next.
Travel Masters, 5 images.
Our Lu Jean in Lampong, Thailand, working in her seat in the open air riverside guest house common area that LJ calls her office, listening to tunes, refreshments nearby.
This is absolutely fascinating. As I looked at her, I would decide I'd like to see Lu Jean's face, not in this picture because she's working on her tablet or her adding thing, whatever they call them. I can't remember right now. but it shows her whole environment. And I like the light on her hair and on her chest. If she's not Vietnamese, which I don't know whether she is or not. I kind of suspect she is, and I'd be curious to hear afterwards. But she looks like she's a part of this country and has been for many years. Very nice, beautiful. Next.
A pilgrim in his tattered clothing rests before beginning his journey home from Christmas celebrations in Lalibela, Ethiopia.
I look at his clothes and I look at his bare feet and I wonder how far he has to go. And then I realize he probably is resting because there are people walking above his head. And I don't need to see their heads, or at least, yeah, they're people. Or are they? No. It looks like there might be one or two people above him. And I wouldn't want those cropped out because I think they kind of add to the sense of movement. I do expect him to be getting up and walking away any minute after he realizes he's having his picture taken. If the world was perfect, I'd like to see all of his feet, but they're not. And when I look at his feet, I can tell they look like they've walked a long ways. Next.
Mission Street, San Francisco.
I like this a lot. And I don't think you have to go all the way around the world to take interesting travel pictures. And I thought about that a lot because at one time somebody in my club told me, well, I can't enter any pictures because I haven't been any place recently. But there's so much around us every place that people come from all around in the world to come to San Francisco. Is this the view they come to see? I don't know. Everybody has a different idea. I like it because I like the overhead wires. If I was going to change anything on it, I would try to lighten the buildings a little bit because even on my light screen, they're pretty dark. But an interesting take for a travel picture. Next.
The Oregon coast is littered with wrecks. The Mary D. home served almost 100 years as a freighter, an Arctic whaler, and as a tug before ending up at the end of the Rogue River.
Huh. I'm glad you gave all this history of this boat because it really adds to the story. The colors on it are beautiful. I thought at first I didn't need so much at the bottom, the sandbar, but I think it anchors the picture very well. And it's a fascinating story. This is something that I would probably, after looking at it, I might even do it before I go to bed tonight, look up and see more about the Mary D, although you told me everything about it. Because how in heaven's name did it ever end up in Oregon in the Rogue River? Next.
Reuse Thai style. Travelers flock to Wat Arun, a Buddhist temple. The colorful artistry of the tile pieces covering the huge structures was once ballast for sailing ships from China, Bangkok, Thailand.
Now, I had never heard about this happening. I had a friend who goes to Thailand frequently. But I would put, no, never mind. I like it, and I like that I can see the picture, people taking their pictures. I don't know whether they're tourists or not. They don't appear to be tourists from the United States, but wherever we are, we like to take pictures when we're there. Tells a nice story. Next.
Part 10.
Okay. So how long, Steve, before we can see the winners? 5 minutes? Want to take a 5-minute break, Steve, and then we'll... Joe, great.
Place.
I am going to say two things. One is, well, three things. One is, thanks, Terry. Two is, Berkeley is very interesting. People should go there. They are building like a storm out there.
Wow.
And it's very amazing, the look out there. And as for Top Dog, I don't know where it used to be, but right across from the new Berkeley Museum, the entrance, that's where Top Dog is. So thank you very much.
Did you go recently?
Oh, I know. I know where to go for Top Dog.
So Joel, you know they call it Berserkly, right?
Right.
Hey, I do know that. And some other time, I'll tell you my first trip out to California story in 1970.
Okay.
I will tell you my graduating from Berkeley in the 60s story.
Wow.
Okay.
I want to hear that, Cheryl.
It's a date.
All right.
Congratulations. Journalism A, 2 images. Second place, Linda.
Hey, neat.
Yeah, this is first thing in the morning. We were staying in a place that right across from the pilot house. It has two or three pilot boats, and they go out any hour of the day, no matter when these ships are coming in. But they're really neat to watch. And thank you for all your comments on this.
Wow.
It's
Really nice.
This was before the hurricane hit.
Oh my God.
Love that sky.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Next place, Craig.
Oh, well, this was a 2-day shoot in Berkeley. I really enjoy shooting people making things and doing things, almost any kind of construction. And I just had a really great time shooting this. I really loved it. I'm glad you guys liked it too.
You know, they're just wearing masks because it's dangerous to breathe the gourd dust.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this was way before coronavirus.
Yeah.
This was last year. So no, they're wearing because of the dust. They're there for 2 days with all that dust. So that's why.
That's what I thought.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Journalism AA, 3 images. Third place, Phil.
Well, this was actually one of our field trips. So I've been holding on to this image for a long time. I wasn't quite sure if the quality was up to it, but I decided to put it in anyway. So there it is.
All right.
Had a good
job.
apprehension. Yeah.
That was
Thank
a fun
you.
trip.
And it was so dark in there.
Yeah, it was really dark.
It was
I think I was up to about an ISO 1.6 million.
You did a good job of getting rid of the noise. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice. Bill.
Nice.
Not here?
Not here.
I don't think he's here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, good job.
Great.
That was great.
Yeah, sharp as hell.
Yeah.
Good color contrast.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree.
Yeah.
Nice to be there.
Congratulations, Bill.
Yeah.
And first place.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I had a good spot. The spectators were off to my left. So I just had this nice clear desert in the background.
Great.
Very nice.
It's so flat. You know, it's just the horizon is
It's
amazing.
truly desert.
Yeah.
And this, the legend is actually, I don't know how many people told us that once upon a time, many years ago, a woman went all the way to the championship. And thinking everyone thought she was a man. And then when she got her medal, she pulled her blouse to show that she was a woman. So that traumatized the whole country, as you can imagine. And so you can see this shirt is only held together by that rope because it just goes over the shoulder and down the back. And then it's a shirt on.
Well, that'll stop those women from cheating at wrestling.
Gotta watch them.
We gotta nurture those male egos.
Yeah, it's all the help we can get.
Yeah.
It happens once and they have to change the whole outfit.
They definitely made some changes.
People better at sumo these days.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Bill. Really nicely done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Well done.
Congratulations, Bill.
Yay.
Thanks.
Journalism Masters, 3.
And okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Terry. 2nd place, Tamara.
Oh yeah, she's up there.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say CHOP is super, was very friendly. We were there a few different times, and it was always a little edgy. I mean, we were very careful before we went in and kind of drove around and checked it out. And it was at night when it usually got out of control. In the daytimes, for the most part, after the beginning, it was okay. They're still having problems up there, but you know, it was just such a piece of history that we had to go. And there'd be people arguing, screaming at each other, and then everybody else just kind of, I don't know, everybody's off doing their own things. It was very interesting. But there were some signs saying, don't take any pictures of people because of the legal, they were afraid of legal repercussions because they were occupying it. So they really didn't want their pictures taken. Which you
I
can
like
understand
this.
since they were getting arrested for taking over that part of the city.
It's interesting how the
Yeah.
sign is. They wrote it out in pencil carefully, and then they filled it in. It's like thoughtful.
Yeah, there was some amazing art up there. I just took my phone because I really didn't want to take a big camera, you know, to try and be a little more.
This last picture is absolutely stunning art.
Yeah, it sure is.
Beautiful shot.
Yeah, there was some amazing. I thought that one was the most. I don't know, the most moving of them all. But there was a lot. It was interesting. It's taken down now, obviously.
Really,
Oh,
really.
I'm glad you got it.
But they are saving a lot of the art, they said so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations. 1st place, Nancy.
Wow. Yeah, I held on to this one for a number of years because I didn't know if it was acceptable. And then I thought about it and I thought, okay, that does describe it. And so, good. Yay. Thank you.
Very, very nice.
Very nice.
Remember it.
Yeah.
Nancy, was that all?
Tricia was next to me doing her panning. You won with yours a few years ago. Right after. Cool.
Monochrome B, 3 images. Congratulations, Nancy Butler. 3rd place, Mark.
Good job, Mark.
Thank you.
It's an egret holding a mouse or something, and the mouse is like hanging on.
Hanging on for life.
Never ever give up.
Yeah, I guess all I want to say is just I'm really dazzled by all your photos. It's been really nice to see.
What lens did you use, Mark?
Pardon me?
What focal length lens did you use?
This was a macro 100 millimeter.
I forgot to do that.
You were really close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, I have a larger photo. I cropped it.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you
I
very
thought
much.
the title was great.
Yes.
I made it.
Yeah. Was it
Thank you.
the mouse gave up?
Congratulations.
I have another picture of it being swallowed whole.
Oh.
Okay, thanks for sparing us.
Make it.
Oh, that would be
Second place.
Oh, Ronnie,
Oh,
good.
Ronnie, yeah,
Oh,
yes,
That's so.
it's gorgeous.
So this is actually called a spider gerbera, which I didn't know existed, and I was lucky enough to get a few of these in a bouquet that I got at the farmers market that's on Farmers Lane now. Really beautiful bouquet. And I really like horizontal flowers for some reason. I was looking at at a bunch of my photos, realizing how many horizontal flowers I've taken. So anyway, I started using silver effects, which I really like.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to do some neat things with this, but this is all natural light.
Wow.
So thank you.
Beautiful background. I mean, beautiful light. Love it.
Congratulations. First place. Pat.
Oh. Well, this is Fritz and I, my husband and I, we rented a 4x4 pickup truck and drove around Namibia for about 3 weeks. And this is a place I wanted to go because the landowner actually had given the San people, which previously known as Bushmen, but now that name has been abandoned for San. He'd given them space on his land and then also tried to allow them to earn a living by showing people their, and they also live this way, but he allowed them to earn a living to show people how they live traditionally. And so we stayed some tent cabins and there weren't a lot of people there, but the whole family tribe was there, and it was a fascinating stay, truly very interesting people. And they live this way still on this property. They just can't hunt certain animals like the giraffes anymore. So they're hunting different animals. But they talked about how, or we had a translator who told us how they actually get their meat and how they live. It was very interesting.
Nice photo.
Yeah, very nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Monochrome A. 4 images. Honorable mention. Betsy.
That's a great image.
Thank you.
This
This is one of my favorite cats. This is the snow leopard, who is just so charming. And this is one of my favorite poses that cats do. So thank you.
It's a young one, right?
Yeah,
So cute.
At the time, he was 5 months old.
So cute.
It's so cute.
Where is it?
It's the Wildcat Place outside of Occidental.
Oh.
Yeah, it's called the Wildcat Education Fund, I think.
Beautiful.
Congratulations. Third place. Steve.
I love that.
Good.
I don't think Steve is
I
here.
don't think Steve's here.
We will have to wonder if he put the moon in there or
Yeah.
not.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
No one
Well
knows.
done, though.
I don't think he's. Oh, it was that he used different moons, because I asked him, were you using the same moon? And he said, I wouldn't do that.
Fun.
All right.
Congratulations, Steve. And second place. Linda.
Oh, good heavens.
Oh, Linda.
Oh, why, thank you. That's at Far Niente Winery, and the lighting is coming from the left. This is about 10 o'clock. and it's just streamed. I've been there probably 10 times, and this is the only time that I've seen the light go across like this, the shadows like this. So it was really fun to take. Thank you.
Like your panorama view.
I love it.
Yeah, really
Nice
cropped,
job.
cropped a
Really
lot.
stunning in black and white.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful.
And those are all ginkgo trees, which is why all the leaves are so even, because ginkgo trees lose their leaves in the fall at almost exactly the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to be there at the right time.
Gorgeous.
Thanks.
Congratulations. And first place, Ellen.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's lovely.
very nice lighting.
You hear Ellen?
You need to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, is she there?
Yeah.
She's there.
Am I unmuted now?
There she is.
Yeah, now you are.
Okay.
There you go.
This was at Fort Ross late last summer, and they very nicely set this all up for me. The light was really dark in the barn, and the light was coming from the side, and so there you have it.
Beautiful.
Tripod?
Beautiful.
What did you use for processing that?
What did I use? I didn't really do a lot. Just Lightroom, just converted to black and white, and
yeah, very nice.
a little bit of vignette, I think.
Any like negative clarity or anything like that?
You know, I honestly don't remember, but
Yeah,
no,
it's beautiful.
I don't think, I usually don't do negative clarity. Sometimes they come out like this.
Really awesome.
Beautiful image.
Very nice. Good job.
Congratulations. Monochrome AA, 3 images. Third place, Jennifer.
Nice.
Oh, thank you. This was on a hike along the bluffs between Shell Beach and Goat Rock, and I just looked down and saw this woman and her horse. I just loved it. Just
really pretty.
Walking along the edge of the world here. It was really fun. Thank you very much.
Nice photo.
Like that you did it in monochrome.
Ending scene of Planet of the Apes. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw this. Those of you remember that movie. That's Charlton Heston on the beach just before he sees the Statue of Liberty.
Right.
Congratulations. Second place, Michael.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
You can tell this is your picture, Mike.
Yep, I guessed it too.
That's my wife and my grandson, and they're playing the game Hot Lava. When I was a kid, we go to the beach and make believe the water coming in was hot lava, trying to avoid it. So that's what they were doing. I caught the expression on his face and both leaning backwards. So I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Great, nice capture.
Very nice.
Good shot.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Place, Bill.
Nice, Bill. Where are you?
Hey, Bill.
Not here.
Bill's not here.
Oh,
The picture.
Nice shot.
Good job.
really beautiful.
Monochrome Masters, 3 images. Third place, Tamara.
That's great.
That's great.
Find these things.
I thought a long time before I put this one in, and then I just thought, oh, what the heck, you know.
It's in good taste.
It just cracked me up on so many levels that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all in the same street. I took about 5 pictures on this, right within about 300 yards of each other on this street, kind of on a iffy edge of Mexico City. And I was super happy with all of them. And all the rest of my pictures of Mexico City, I didn't like any of them.
Oh, no.
Just kind of that gold mine of a block or two, you know.
It's
So thank you.
amazing.
Good job.
Nice.
Great job.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Second place, Steve.
Yeah, that's Willie when he was a kid in my studio. People like,
That's a real cat.
yeah, he's big now. He's about 12, almost 20 pounds.
Oh my
Like a baby lion.
Yeah.
Poor cat.
So much personality. He looks like you, Steve.
Oh, thanks.
Vice versa.
Thank you.
Good one.
He does look a little like Steve.
He does.
Congratulations. First place, Tony.
Nice.
This was shot last fall. I was going up to check out some places for a workshop, and my wife was with me, and she complained about the fog, and I just sat there and loved it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
This is a morning shot, and the fog was coming in off the land, which is sort of counterintuitive.
That's odd, yeah.
This is Oregon?
Yeah, this is Cannon Beach. If you look in the background, you can see Haystack Rock.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Lots of levels and layers.
Yeah. They're called sea stacks.
Ah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Good one.
Congratulations. Pictorial B, 3 images. Third place, Ronnie.
Oh, well, thank you. So I love dahlias, and I bought a huge plant at Friedman's and planted it in a pot, and it's very close to my kitchen door, so I kind of check on it frequently, and I noticed it's in the shade after about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but then there's a little light that creeps through at about 5 or 6 o'clock, and it was just gorgeous, and I was trying to catch it out, and it was windy, so it kept going in and out of that bright light, but I was able to capture it somehow.
Really
So
beautiful.
thank you.
Gorgeous colors.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like how-
Congratulations. Second place, Elizabeth.
This poppy field was actually in my garden, and so I got a chance to go out on a regular basis and take pictures of it. And this is a new filter that I found that I'm completely in love with. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
It's like a tapestry. I love it.
Yeah, really cool.
First place, Mark.
Thank you. This was taken, if any of you have been up to Pine Flat Road,
Yes.
it's beautiful. I'm pretty new to photography, self-taught. I'm learning a lot from all of you. This was just a macro shot I took up near the top of Pine Flat Road, and just was a nice setting. So thank you very much.
You didn't bring the bug up with you?
Very nice.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You didn't bring the ladybug up with you?
Actually, I grabbed him and put him on the. No. Thank you.
Good job, Mark.
Appreciate it. Again, I love this club so far. I'm learning so much.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you here.
Good to be here.
You look like you have a lot to teach us, so.
Yeah.
No, I'm a learner.
We all are.
We all are, yeah.
No, I love how organized everything is. You guys do great.
Pictorial, 3 images. Nice. Sherry.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I was walking around Petaluma with my new lens, checking things out, and just came along this reflection, and it really grabbed me. Foreman Hardware was one of my husband's first jobs growing up in Petaluma, so the image really means a lot to us. Thank you.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Congratulations.
Story.
Thank you.
Second place. Guy.
Oh, great. That's that derelict boat that was out at Salmon Creek for several months. It's actually a long exposure, and I added the sky and the sun actually as well. So just kind of a sundown effect. So, thank you.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Nicely done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good job.
Congratulations. First place. Betsy.
Hey. Wow, I did not expect that at all. Thank you. This was just right out in my yard, actually. And I tried it with my Tamron Zoom, and then I tried it with my Tamron Macro, and I actually got a better result with the Zoom. For some reason, I don't know why. Probably the background.
Better the bokeh, yeah.
Yes, nice.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Nice.
What's the flower? It is, it's a huge plant right now. It's called a white sage. Okay. And it sends up, and actually this is representative right here with the blossoms on it. It sends up these huge spires, like 8 feet tall.
Wow.
With these flowers that attract all sorts of pollinators. It's really a joy to see all of them there. Beautiful. I'm going to check it out. Oh yeah, they're great, and they smell so good too.
Congratulations.
Very nice.
Pictorial AA, 3 images. Third place. Tricia.
Oh.
That's great.
Joel and I, over a couple of days, we went out to Bodega Head and took the little loop trail, and there were, I don't know, at one point we saw 5 deer in a row. I mean, this is a really large crop of a much bigger picture, but I loved the way that the head was and kind of looking back like that. And then I took it into Topaz, did some simplify, and then backed it off so that the deer would look more natural. So that's what I did. And I love it.
The colors are beautiful.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Nicely, nicely done.
Nice color.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Second place. Mike.
Nice.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Tony and I recently went on a little photo trip, and we found this vineyard, and I started looking up this road, and Tony says, I think you should go up a little bit further. So I said, okay. And when I got it on the computer, I said, I think I'll do something different. So the sky is from Lee Vining.
Job.
So yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Nicely done.
Really good.
Great.
Cool.
How did you get the sky in?
What's that?
How did you get the sky in? What
Luminar.
did you use? Luminar?
Yeah,
The
Luminar.
new one?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
They do
very
a good job.
Yeah, thank you.
You did a good job.
Thanks. I'm trying.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
And
Congratulations.
it's good that you use your own sky.
Tricia.
Yay.
Very nice.
Oh, Trisha.
Walking. So the first part of the image is from the Doran Beach Bird Walk, and the day was amazing. These are just a sample of the clouds that there were that day. It was phenomenal. And we went sort of in the early evening, you know, things are starting to get a little prettier. And then when we were at Bodega Head, squadrons of pelicans were flying over and over, and there'd be like, some of them had probably 20 pelicans coming by, but they were really hard to catch. And I got a few shots of a few of them that I never could have submitted on their own. And I thought, what about that Dorrance Beach picture? In there.
Good idea.
I thought that was a composite. Well done.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Good job, Tricia.
Pictorial Masters, 3 images. 3rd place. Nancy.
Oh,
God.
That was yours.
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
Really
Fujifilm.
I had so
Evil
much.
eye.
I'm going to be dreaming about this tonight. I know it.
No, I like ducks actually.
This is great, Nancy.
it wouldn't it be as
It's at a floating garden outside of Bangkok, and it was a photo walk with a group, and she liked the woman who was in charge of it liked to say do certain things, and so she talked about, well, find complementary colors. So I have teal and orange. It was in in movies a lot, and that eye really kind of freaked me out. And just recently, being sheltered in place from Petaluma, the Liberty Farms delivered. They normally just do the expensive restaurants. And so I got a couple of whole ducks that I'd never cooked before. And darn if those eyes weren't open just like that. Exactly what I think. Yeah.
why are they red? Do you think?
Because it's kind of like a tandoori, kind of, you know how tandoori chicken turns that kind of red.
Yeah.
Whatever they do to smoke them, it ends up red.
I don't see how you
barbecue
duck
sauce.
after that.
So he's already dead?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I hope so.
No, they're saving them for later.
He looks pretty alive to me.
Terrible.
The one I cooked that I got from Petaluma Farm that came in a bag, it had its eye open just the same way. So
Oh my.
Take a picture.
Yeah, is that
Being
next?
followed.
yeah.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
2nd place. Terry.
Yay, Terry.
Yeah.
That was from the carnival that we all went to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She was
That's great.
just so cute. And she had this little worried look on her face. So I applied a different technique on it. It was a lot of fun.
It's beautiful.
That's
Really
very
beautiful.
good, Terry.
She's a cutie.
Nice job.
Congratulations. 1st place. Marilyn.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Oh.
Marilyn's here.
God, it's perfect.
Yeah, it is. It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
lovely.
Yeah. Shadow's awesome.
Just awesome.
Okay.
To Marilyn.
Congratulations to Marilyn. Travel B, 3 images. 3rd place. Joel.
Thank you. Machu Picchu, if you have never been, go. It is amazing. Built out in the middle of nowhere at 10,000 feet. It's amazing. Thank you.
Wow.
Congratulations. 2nd place. Elizabeth.
Oh, these sweet boys, we were in this village on the way to one of the volcanoes, and we were taking a walking tour, and these little guys were playing soccer and they were running around. They were quite curious about us. So when they went to get their treats, I got to take their picture, and it was just, the colors were just classic for the village. So thank you.
Good
Great.
job.
Really nice.
Love it.
Congratulations. First place. Fritz.
This image was taken on our road trip in Namibia that Pat talked about, where we were driving from this particular day from one part of the middle of nowhere to another part of the middle of nowhere about 100 miles away on dirt roads. And this, the etiquette when you meet these ladies out basically in the middle of nowhere, they're just herders. There's no farming or anything going on there, just herders. We gave them a bunch of our empty water bottles, and that's how you pay for a picture like this. The black stuff on her back is not a backpack, it's just more of her hair.
And Fritz, is that baked clay? Baked
It's a mixture of clay and red ochre.
Yeah.
And
It's so wonderful.
I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a hair guy. I'm not exactly sure how long it takes to do this, but I'm thinking it takes a while to do that kind of stuff.
Quite a while.
Imagine.
It's a long time.
Be an interesting thing to read up on.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Nice.
It really is.
Good picture.
Congratulations. Chevrolet, 3 images. Third place. Sherry.
Oh, thank you. I went on a photography tour of Utah, and we were encouraged to take a shot of, take images of not what it looks like, but how it feels. So this was an image of how it felt to be there.
Nice.
Cool.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's great.
Nicely executed.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Second place. Guy.
Beautiful.
Early morning shot of Venice, kind of an iconic area right by St. Mark's Square. Got up early in the morning to get this. Probably an hour later, there was 10,000 tourists there off the cruise ships that come in every day. So you had to get up early to get anything with no people in it. Thank you.
Nice.
It's beautiful. It does make me want to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll come back sometime.
Congratulations. First place. Betsy.
Oh.
Roll.
Thank you. I came around the corner and saw this. We got up very early to go out on a fishing boat, but this was my most favorite part right here. It was blue hour. There were locals out on the pier before they went to work. They all had their coffee and, before the tourists get up and get out. So it was a really special moment. Thank you.
Gorgeous shot.
Beautiful.
Congratulations. Travel AA, 3 images. Third place. Bill.
Oh, he's not here.
Not here.
I like that angle too.
Yeah, good off kilter. Good.
Yeah. It's imposing.
Nice.
Congratulations, Bill. Second place. Herb.
All right, Herb.
Yeah, Herb's not here either.
No.
Okay.
Beautiful shot.
Really?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Lovely.
Congratulations, Herb. First place. Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. This is desert, western India, just before Pakistan. And these people are gypsies, and they have 2 traditions. One is performance, music, which they're very good at, obviously. And the other is handling snakes. They deal in for them. And the government has cracked down a bit on snake handling, so focus now on just performing. And I struggled with this caption. It's not a very original caption, because their dancing is actually very snake-like, sinuous. And you can see the lady in the foreground. And I wanted to bring that into the caption in some way, but as soon as I mentioned snake, I better have a snake in the picture as well.
Yeah.
So I just kind of gave up after a while. But the
I like how
colors and-
Terry mentioned the shadow.
Yeah,
It really
yeah,
adds.
thanks. Yeah, real bright sunlight.
Good
A lot of shots to get it the separation. That was the only one that
Yeah, nice
we're blocking
separation.
something. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Travel Masters, 3 images. 3rd place. Tamara.
Yeah, nice.
I know you guys are tired of seeing all my Ethiopia images, but I love Ethiopia.
Not at all.
Tired yet?
And this guy, those are people behind him. There was 100,000 people there. In fact, 60 Minutes last Christmas, they were there filming the year before when we were there, and 60 Minutes this Christmas did a piece on Lalabella, if you're interested.
Oh,
Somebody
wow.
told me about it. I just Googled it and watched it. That explains who the people were with the big cameras, because there aren't a lot of tourists there. But and they do, people walk for 2 weeks with no shoes on. They walk for, little kids walk for days.
Wow.
They're just, little country people with no money. And this guy's patches just, really made me just crop down to him. So maybe I should go back and think about having more of the other pilgrims in the background. But this was the day it was all over and everyone was leaving.
The details are amazing. It's really nice.
I love it just as you have it.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
I won't give you any more Ethiopia for a while, I promise.
You can give us all the
We want more.
Ethiopia you want.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely.
Congratulations. 2nd place. Tony.
All right, Tony. This was about a 3-lane highway after I crossed over the bridge on the Rogue River, and I saw this tug just about sunset, and I said, oh my God, I got to get up the next morning. And fortunately, the bugs weren't bad, and the mud wasn't that deep while I waited for sunrise.
Oh,
Nice color.
worth getting up for.
I tell it.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew it was going to be good the moment I saw it. And that green moss in the sunlight just absolutely was neon.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
1st place. Nancy.
Yay!
It's Nancy.
Lugene.
Luigi.
Terry Lugene is a dear member of our club, and she has been going to Thailand for nearly 20 years. And she is, as soon as they allow people from our horrible country with all its morbidity, she and her husband Bear are moving there permanently, and they're moving to Lampang. And this is, and
so
this,
she's not Thai.
what?
She's not Taiwanese.
She's actually she is an American well, anyway, and I saw the light on her and I took a few pictures, and then I asked her if I could put it in, and she was invited, but she's working so hard packing and misses you all terribly.
I think she's part Native American. I think.
Yeah, she is. She is part. She was, yes.
Cherokee, yeah.
Cherokee, yes.
I'm so glad you included all the details. I love it.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I broke the rule of don't give people stuff to read, but to me, it was part of the travel experience was that. So I'm glad that, and also she's kind of looking outside the frame. I broke that rule. So I'm very glad to break rules. And
you're a good rule breaker.
Yeah.
Both the right rules.
That's
Good
what we're
job,
doing.
Nancy.
She's gonna love that she won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Congratulations, Nancy. Yeah.
Yay.
Oh. Ooh, da-da, da-da.
Yeah.
Is it ducks? Nope.
Wow.
Great.
Congratulations, John.
Oh, that's very, I'm amazed. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Great shot.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
I think we're done.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry.
Terry.
You're welcome.
Terry.
Really wonderful.
Good job.